first, in our first hour, I want to talk to you about our political system and particularly about the situation which we find ourselves in right now. You might have heard that it's 1 year to the day since Rishi Sunak promised us integrity, professionalism and accountability. Yes. A year later, a YouGov poll, which was taken in the last few days, shows that half of voters say he's been a poor or terrible Prime Minister. We're 4 years into this catastrophic parliament with 3 prime ministers, highest tax rates in 70 years, an economic meltdown and 150 terrible Partygate fines later. And we still have a potential 13 months to go before a general election. The last time they are allowed to call that would be in January 2025. So my question is, there's so much wrong. Which one thing, if I could be a political fairy godmother for you today, and I could wave my magic wand and I could grant you one wish, what would you change? What is the single thing you would change about our political system? We're seemingly, of course, watching the death throes of an unimaginably unpopular government, and there is nothing, literally nothing, you or I, legally, or any lawyer, can do about it. Nothing. We can't stop them for the next, let's say, 13 months, doing anything they want, and yet they themselves are no longer wanted. Everything shows that the vast majority of us, well, we've had enough, haven't we? We've had enough of their dog whistle politics. We've had enough of their policies which benefit the wealthy. And I'm going to prove that to you. And I want you to tell me, I'm going to give you some examples possibly of, do we want to, for instance, say that no member of parliament should have a second job? That's a for instance. Is it proportional representation that you would prefer? I want to hear from you. Remember to give us a ring on 0345 6060 973, or you can text me on 84850. Or, of course, I'll see you on Twitter at LBC. Right, let's have a look at the facts, shall we? Because unlike this government, I like to deal in facts. Right, the poll this week said that they asked them, when would you like the general election to take place? And guess what it said? Quite a lot of us want it as soon as possible. 3/4 of voters want an election at the very latest by May. But of course it isn't up to us. It's up to them. On this first-year anniversary of Sunak becoming Prime Minister, we hear rumours swirling around Westminster, aren't they always, about how many letters have already been sent to the elusive 1922 committee. And if they get over a certain number, then they can call a vote of no confidence, and on and on and on it goes. Well, this government is a government that's just broken records time after time, and none of them good. Last week in the 2 by-elections, as we all know, in the Tamworth by-election, Labour recorded the second highest swing of 23.9%, second highest swing to Labour since the Second World War. They overturned a Tory majority of nearly 20,000 votes. The by-election, of course, was caused when Chris Pincher lost his appeal against his suspension in yet another MP sexual misconduct case. Unusually, or rather usually in elections, even by elections, we talk of swings in single figures, don't we? I mean, I am a bit of an election junkie. No surprise there. I love looking at the stats and the numbers that are coming up by the minute, normally in the general election, obviously. But we've got to take that number in. This was a swing of 23.9%, although, let's be fair, the next day, the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, arguably one of the worst in modern times, but then again, we've had so many. I think we had 5, did we, in 12 months? They're more like supply secretaries. That's what I call them, to be fair. Anyway, Gillian Keegan actually said, but if you look at the details, this did not show a swing to Labour. Well, it did, Gillian. It really did. It showed a 23.9% swing to Labour. That is what the statistics denoted in black and white and red and blue. But with her track record so far, expect a new maths curriculum by Christmas where we take on fantasy figure facts, the usual Tory inadvertent illustrative nonsense of late. Let's move over the country to Mid-Beds, where another record was broken in the former seat of the erstwhile Scarlet Pimpernel of politics, Nadine Dorries. Forgive me a borrowed quotation. They seek her here, they seek her there. Those constituents seek her everywhere. Is she in heaven? Is she in hell? That damned elusive Pimpernel. Anyway, after multiple letters asking, "Where are you?" from various towns in the Mid-Beds constituency, they did track her down, and she resigned many weeks after she swore she would do so with immediate effect. Immediate being a 9-letter word. I'm quite good with those, with a dictionary meaning of at once or without any intervening time or space. It doesn't mean after 78 days, which is the actual number of days it took for Dorries' immediate resignation. Mind you, in fairness to her, she did have a few words to say to Rishi Sunak on her day of leaving. I'm quoting, "What exactly has been done or have you achieved? You hold the office of Prime Minister unelected without a single vote, not even from your own MPs." Oof. Ooh. For once, Nadine, I can't find fault with a single word of those sentiments. Now, I mention all of this because I'm going back to the question. We're in a situation where we have no way in which we, the many millions of voters who want a general election, can force one to happen. So it's all relevant, but just forgive me, please. This is my first time sitting in for James O'Brien. I'm delighted about it. Do give us a ring, by the way. 0345 6060 973 or text me 84850. Just forgive me a little bit because I do want to go back to the by-election because I was sitting up all night. I was there. I was flagging by around about 3:30. So I want to go back to that. So last Friday morning, around 3:30 a.m., I was there with a pot of tea and Labour struck another record breaker. I felt by that point that, do you remember record breakers on the telly where Chris Akabusi used to come on running, turning up with that famous tune, record breakers? Anyway, that would have cheered me up. It would have woken me up a little bit. He didn't, by the way, he wasn't there. But what was the record being broken over there? The record was overturning the largest numerical majority, 24,664 ever in by-election history. Winning the Tory majority in Mid-Beds for the first time since the seat was established in 1931. 1931. I mean, surely there should be some system where we could trigger a general election with this massively unpopular government sitting at the moment. Anyway, I've got an aside, but I'm enjoying it, so bear with me. Both the Tory candidates in Tamworth, Andrew Cooper, and in Mid-Beds, it was Festus Akinbusi, did not stand up and fight on the night, as Penny Mordaunt swore to us all Conservatives do in her very interesting soliloquy at the party conference a few weeks ago. Stand up and fight, she said. And then the person sitting next to you will stand up and fight, and then the one next to them, and then their auntie on the phone, and the bloke in the chippy. And then apparently standing up and fighting is what all Conservatives do, apart from Andrew and Festus, who didn't stand up and fight or even stand and listen, basically, to the winning speeches from the new Labour MPs, as is tradition. No, they chose not to, Penny. They didn't stand up and fight. They chose to run and hide. One of them shooting out the fire exit in quick time. Anyway, that is a by the by. Basically, the gain of Selby and Anstey was a record breaker. The gain by the Lib Dems in Somerton and Frome was a record breaker. The local elections in May were record breaking from a low starting point already of around 3,000 council seats. Tories lost 1,063 from control of 81 local councils. They lost control of 48, taking them down to a low of 33 councils now under their control. Oh, I mean, it's the same story, isn't it? That's the point, really, that I'm making. It's the same old story. In August, it was reported that MPs, and this was going on the IPSA declarations of MPs' expenses and declared extra income, made a total of over £10 million in extra income for 1 year. Of that 10 million, the Tory MPs brought in 9.5 million of that total. All of the other MPs who had second incomes from all of the other parties added up to around £400,000. You know the list, don't you? It's always the same list. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Brandon Lewis, former party chair, ex-cabinet minister, has 3 business strategy jobs, including one working for a property developer. He has a total of 150 grand a year. Sajid Javid. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So is it that you would like to change? The question is, which one thing, if I could grant it to you, would you want to change about our political system?